You're about to tune into a conversation between Bogdan Pop, the head of design here at Thrive Themes, and myself. We're going to be covering some really insightful points on what constitutes good website design, web design that has the potential of helping business owners increase conversions, and also give you a little bit of more context about why we design our templates in the way we do. I hope you like it. Well, it's taken me kind of a really long time to get you on camera, Mr. Bogdan, but I am super happy that you're here. I know that people watching at home are going to be super excited to be able to hear from the almighty head of design here at Thrive Themes. Bogdan, I am handing over the microphone to you. Why don't you take a minute or two to just introduce yourself and let everyone know about who you are and what you do here at Thrive Themes.
All right, cool. So thank you for the great introduction, Tony. It's actually great working at Thrive Teams and coordinating all of the design work that we're doing. That's why I'm a little bit harder to get than usual. We're working on a lot of cool stuff right now. In a nutshell, I'm coordinating all of the design work done on Thrive projects, from branding to templates to UI, ergonomics, even feature strategy sometimes, right? So we're doing everything that has an effect on how things feel for our users, our customers, and their customers as well through our templates and features.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because there's going to be people watching at home that use our tools, but that don't necessarily have any clue whatsoever about what is the role of a web designer. I mean, if I meet someone across the street today that tells me, hey, I'm a web designer or I'm a designer, what does that even mean, Bogdan? What does a web designer do?
Right, so a web designer takes a goal, a job to be done, and transforms it into something that people can access to achieve that goal, right? So that's in the shape of a visual design, usually, but it's not necessarily only that. It's the way things are communicated, the story behind things. It's not only about the layout. But yes, one of the major parts in a designer's day of work is working with graphics. And we are basically arranging and choosing how to show you things in a way that helps you reach your goal, the goal that was initially briefed to us.
And it's funny because a lot of people, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people confuse the role of a web designer and the role of a web developer. Like a lot of people, when you tell them, hey, I'm a web designer, they think that, hey, I'm actually programming or writing or building a website and things like that. Whereas from my experience, web designing it's difficult. It's in my opinion, it's even harder than developing and building because knowing how to design things in a way that is going to make it easy for people to use something or to utilize a tool like Thrive, it's very complicated. I mean, how long does it take for someone to really get comfortable with designing?
Yeah, so it is indeed a challenge. The biggest challenge in being a designer is the fact that you need to gather a lot, to be like a sponge, right? To gather a lot of information about how everything works, how people pay attention, how things should look, color combinations, fonts. So it's a mix of various fields that you need to learn in parallel, right? And all of it is summed up. Sorry, all of it is summed up by basically your accumulation of experiencing those things in your lifetime, right? So it's basically a thing of culture mixed in with technical abilities. That's my opinion. That's how I think it should work.
You mentioned typographies, you mentioned color selection. I mean, something as simple as getting the combination of colors on your website can totally ruin your site's design. I mean, it's that meticulous. I mean, web design goes down to the very last pixel of your site. It's the fonts that you're picking, it's the color scheme that you're using. everything impacts the way your brand is perceived and the way people interact with your site, which is why, I don't know, I think that design is very difficult. So I want to ask you, Bogdan, do you think that you could summarize Thrive Team's design philosophy? Is there a particular mantra that we follow here at Thrive?
Yes, in fact, we have some key aspects to our way of approaching things that you can find in all of our products from top to bottom. So first of all, we are a conversion-centric design company, right? So we want you to get to your conversion goals, right? That's the most important thing to anything that we do. Anything we put out is aimed at that. Templates, features, we want you to convert your users into customers and leads. The second principle is simplicity. We never want to use things that are unnecessary. So in our templates, in our features, and everything that you see in there is thought out to be the exact thing you need, not less, and definitely not more than you need or more complicated than you need. The third mantra is that we want to empower our users. All of our software, everything that we do, again, templates as well, come with a high degree of customizability. You get them and you can easily make them your own. Right? That's very important to us as well. And the last two things are innovation. We want to be helping you in new ways to get to your goals. And we're constantly innovating towards that goal. And we want, with those innovations, we want to make things that may be hard to get, complicated, seem easy and approachable, and empower you to start using them.
So you mentioned that part of our design philosophy here at Thrive Teams focuses around putting out designs that are conversion centric. So can you elaborate a little bit more as to what is the difference between conversion focused design and perhaps just web design that focuses on brand awareness, for example? Is there a difference?
Yes, there is a difference. They can be used together, but if we would separate them, conversion-focused designs emphasize call to actions. They have a really clear goal visible for whoever's using them. They minimize distractions, so you can focus on the goal. And those designs use proven techniques and proven design patterns to help you reach that goal, like hierarchy, contrast, that kind of thing, right? So that's a conversion-focused design. And in terms of brand awareness, a brand awareness-focused design focuses much more on visual identity, on the emotional connection you get by being exposed to it. It prioritizes aesthetics and storytelling, and very subtly integrates conversion-focused elements, but to a less of a degree than a highly conversion-focused design. So you can see how they can intertwine, but how they're also different.
How, I have to ask you, because I do see how they intertwine, but they're clearly different. And I can think of examples of, okay, so most of our templates, for example, as you said, are very conversion focused, but there are a lot of people out there that, for example, go to some of these really dynamic websites. I don't know. I'm thinking of some of Apple's inner product pages, some of these really crazy dynamic websites that we see out there, right? What would you tell to a small business owner who looks at one of those dynamic, beautiful pages that keep moving as you scroll down and so forth and so on? Would you tell them, hey, I understand that you like that type of website, but you got to think about the job that you're trying to do on your site and whether that type of website is appropriate for the job that you're trying to get done? Or is there a legitimate use case for always using a dynamic website? Like, I don't know, like I said, some of these product pages done by Apple, as you scroll down, the iPhone moves up and down, and you've got all of these interactive elements happening on screen. What would you tell to like small to medium sized business owners that are trying to set up their online business?
Well, I would tell them three things related to this. Uh, One of them is that usually those designs, so the Apple website or any other like more dynamic sort of website acting, all of those can be disabled and the website still works great visually. So even if you wouldn't have the any dynamic part to it, the design would still speak well and would still sell the product. So they're not necessary, I think. So they add to the value, but they're not absolutely necessary. That's the first thing. The second thing is that they are highly choreographed, right? So you can't just add any action and achieve the same conversion result, right? You need years and years of study. You need experience to be able to build those kinds of interactions in a way that they lead to the desired result, right? So don't overdo it. Is the second thing I would say. Try and keep it minimal and basically learn by doing, but keep these things to a minimum at first because they really need to be thought out, right? And the third thing, which ties in with both of the points above, is that you can really easily go overboard with these things and you can affect your website's load speeds, your website interaction, like how it feels for the user. They might be like super overwhelmed. And very importantly, you also can affect the practicality of maintaining your website. It's really hard to update a content that has so many interactions to it, right? So in the end, all of these are worth if you're willing to put in the effort and the expertise into it. So think of Apple, for example, they are doing that once a year, but they really use like a full team. I'm sure they have lots of people behind it, and it's a big effort to make one of those sales pages.
So let me ask you, here at Thrive Themes, for example, a big chunk of our customers rely on our templates, on our themes. I would say that the vast majority of our customers don't even necessarily worry about designing their websites from scratch. They just like one of our templates, one of our themes, and they see the use case for setting up a business around those designs, and they just go along with them. But let's say that you have a Tony. Like I am a very big fan of, designing my own designs and rebuilding them. I design them in Figma and then I rebuild them using Thrive Architect. If someone watching at home wants to get better at web design, they want to get to the point where they're comfortable mocking up something in Figma to eventually build it out with Thrive Architect, is there a tip or do you have any suggestions as to how can someone get better at web design over time? I don't know, books, courses, anything that you can think of.
Right. So, of course, books and courses, whatever is linked to the field, is really helpful. So it's, as a first principle, it's good to practice, right? Either by reading, learning, and by doing as well. Seek to learn the basic principles first, like typography, color theory, layout design. These three things you should be really on top of if you want to design your things from ground up. These are usually covered in our templates in a really solid way, so they can help you get started. But if you want to start from scratch, you really need to master these three things: typography, color theory, and layout design. Then it's good to seek feedback in a constructive way, to let people use your designs, to ask them questions. Where do you make an order? How would you spot this action, that action, and see how they react to it, rather than asking them if they like colors of like design style, things like that. So you should seek user testing, it's called, right? To see how people react to your work and if it gets them to do what you want and if they can easily do it. And last, you need to stay updated. and always look around you. Always analyze if you like something, like we talked, like the Apple website. Why do you like it? Why do you like doing something in a certain way on a certain website, right? So if you deconstruct those and actually see the mechanisms that make you feel empowered and happy about using those designs, then you can apply them on your own as well.
That makes perfect sense. So let me ask you the inverse question. Let's say that someone is not interested in learning how to use Figma or learning how to do design from scratch. I mean, as a business owner, if I'm starting a business from scratch, the last thing that I'm interested in doing is learning how to do web design. I just want a cool template that Bogdan has designed, that that the Thrive Themes team has sticked inside Thrive Cloud, and that I can just download with one click and customize the text and customize the image. Do you have any tips to make sure that someone that isn't design savvy can still always end up with a happy website design, regardless of the fact that they don't know anything about web design?
Yes. It's actually, again, a set of principles that we also use ourselves when designing. It's the very base of good designs. The first rule, keep it simple. Don't overdo it. The second rule is be consistent. Always try to repeat patterns. The human mind is accustomed to and more comfortable with predictability. So you need to give people something predictable, like a nice rhythm to look at. Minimize the amount of colors and the number of fonts you're using. Keep it to one. That's one font, one color. If you're a beginner, that's the perfect way to start. And very importantly, be aware of the space, the empty space in your designs. Right? It's very important to let things breathe, as we as we say. Keep space around things. Keep consistent spacing around your titles, your images, things like that. Don't cram them in together. And of course, be careful about hierarchy. It needs to be clear in your design what's the most important title, what's the most important button, and what things are there just to add additional information, right? So that hierarchy should be clear. So in short, keep it simple, minimize the amount of colors and fonts you're using, don't over decorate, and be aware of the empty space as well. Take that into consideration as a design element itself.
Yeah, I'm smiling because you've summed up 2 years worth of videos that I've been doing here at Thrive Themes in just under a minute, because those are probably the principles that I keep over and over insisting throughout all of my videos. Keep it simple. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. At the end of the day, you have a goal, which is probably to make money, to get people to convert on your offerings. Minimize the use of typographies. I literally, like, even I do enjoy doing web design. I still most of the times only use one typography all the time, because it allows me to be consistent throughout my pages, my posts. It just makes it super easy for me to show off a clean website design. And yeah, I thought it was genius. Anyways, Bogdan, this was short, but I think it was really insightful. I want to thank you here in front of everyone for taking some time to hop on camera and let everyone get to know the head of design here at Thrive Themes. You've been here for a really long time, for many years, but I don't know that people know who Bogdan Pop is.
Thank you, Tony. And I'm really hoping that our customers find the designs helpful as we intend them to be. So yeah, I'm really proud of working on everything Thrive, and really proud of being in this interview with you, and super happy with all of the knowledge you're spreading around as well. So yeah.
I think we'll see you again here on YouTube at some point. But yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Bogdan.
Thank you, Tony.
I'd like to thank my dear friend Bogdan once again for joining me in this conversation. I think you'll see more of him in the future. Let me know if you like these sort of videos down in the comment section below. And yeah, there's a link in the description box that you can click on if you want to learn a bit more about what Thrive Suite is and all of the great things that it can do for your online business. Thanks again, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye.